The strength of an individual is in their words, what they believe, and what they aspire to accomplish. That's what makes you a man. That's what makes you stand up in your words, your values, your principles, and your ability to keep true to this. Welcome to the Village Boy Podcast. It's your host, Trez, and on today's edition, we're going to explore what loyalty truly means. In the last couple of days, we have looked at conversations that touches on tariffs and how tariffs affect other countries. Folks on the left, the Democrats, are generally opposed to tariffs. And this is where I bring in the question of loyalty. Where does the Democrat Party's loyalty lie? Is the Democrat Party fighting for America and Americans, or are they fighting for non Americans and foreigners? Because when you hear the conversation, it would seem they are fighting for what's best for another country. They are fighting for what they think would be in the best interest of a different country. Where is the loyalty to the American people, the country of America? Theodore Roosevelt had this to say: any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't an American at all. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is loyalty to the American people. When you listen to what Theodore Roosevelt is saying, and when you look at the Democrat Party and what the agendas, the beliefs that they have, is this a pro American party or an anti American party? Because in the Democrat Party, every faction, every group within the Democrat Party has a flag. Theodore Roosevelt said, we have room for but one flag, the American flag. And the Democrats have a flag for every subcategory that exists within that party. I'll ask again, is this a party that is pro America and that's loyal to the values of America and to the American people? What is the representation of your flag in the interest of the collective nature of all Americans? If we have but one flag, which is the American flag, why is the Democrat Party always fighting for everybody else but Americans? It's not as if they have solved everyday American problems and now the Americans are well off and satisfied and they're rushing off to put out the fires in other parts of the world. No, the Democrat Party has decided that it would prioritize the needs of foreign individuals, the needs of foreign countries over the need of everyday Americans. To make this possible, they will say things like they are fighting for Americans. How can you fight for Americans when you have multiple flags that you are ready to flag and state buildings and federal buildings that are not American flags? Where is the loyalty? Is the loyalty to the different flags or is the loyalty to America and the one American flag? So I decided to understand what was loyalty in its foundational concept. Loyalty to America or patriotism is a feeling of attachment and commitment to the United States. So you have to be attached and committed to the United States. It's your relationship to the country of America and its institutions. It is often expressed through the Pledge of Allegiance, which goes through our educational system, loyalty day, which is typically May 1st, and the naturalization oath of allegiance. For those who were not born in the US and who were aspiring to become American citizens, they do get to swear an oath to America. How do you swear an oath to defend and protect America in your naturalization oath? You are renouncing allegiance to other countries and pledging to support and defend the US Constitution and laws. You are saying in your naturalization, and here I am speaking to immigrants who are turning into US citizens. You are becoming patriots for America. How can you pledge to defend the United States, defend the Constitution and the laws, and also support a party that pushes for open borders? How can you justify? This is something I really want to ask immigrants who became citizens. After your pledge of allegiance, did it not mean anything to you? How do you still find yourself being a Democrat that is an anti American party that supports open borders? If you open your borders for anybody to come in, have you not, by that simple fact, weakened your defenses, broken your own laws? How? This is something that I really need to understand. The naturalization oath of allegiance, this oath is taken by immigrants becoming US citizens. You're dropping the label immigrant because once you become a US citizen, you are no longer an immigrant. An immigrant cannot vote in federal elections. An immigrant can only give birth to an American citizen on American soil. A US citizen can give birth to an American citizen anywhere in the world. The difference between an immigrant and an American citizen. I hope that this is clear because I have another video that was talking about this. So, for those people who take this oath, swear and defend, protect America, how is your first course of action to open the US borders and let just about anybody, whether the people are good people, bad people, you have opened the borders. You've let loose the borders. You've weakened the laws. Have you not already failed in your first act of naturalization? That's my question. Your first act of loyalty to the country you just swore an oath to defend. But let's not distract ourselves. Let's go back and reread what Theodore Roosevelt said. Any man who says he is an American, and in this case, because we know some liberals do watch us, man in this case happens to be anybody. Anybody who says he or she is an American, but something else also isn't an American at all. If you have divided loyalty, you have no loyalty because you're not able to pick. You're not able to pick. If you're having sympathy for Canada, for example, listen, there are times when you can oppose Trump. When Trump says stuff like um, Canada should become the 51st state, that's an insult to Canada. And I can support that. What Trump should be saying is Israel should become the 51st state because we literally own them. We feed them, we clothe them, we bathe them, we stool them, we nurture them, we grow them, all of that stuff. They should become the 51st state. Without us, they are nothing. They should become, that should be a statement that makes more sense. Saying Canada should become the 51st state is an insult to Canadians, and Canadians have a right to stand their grounds. That's a fair fight that Canadians can fight. And people who do not like Trump can then say, yes, you cannot say that about an independent country. But saying we need to have reciprocity in tariffs between two independent countries that trade as friends and partners cannot be a cause of a tug of war. It needs to have the leaders of those countries sit on a table, and iron out details that are going to be favorable for both countries. And we've not seen Canada do it. The US has set what the standard of what it wants. There's a trade deficit between the US and Canada, which means Canada simply has the lion's share of the US market compared to the US having the lion's share to the Canadian market. So when the governor wakes up and says, or the premier of, is it Ontario, wakes up and says, he's going to turn off from Minnesota and those states that Canada, that is Canada selling a product into an American market. He's not doing a favor, it's a business transaction. He's providing a service to Americans, and Americans are paying for that service. It's not a favor that he's doing to Americans, it's a business transaction. And that's why when you talk about trade deficits, Canada is selling more products to America than America is selling to Canada. Trade deficit. Canada is providing electricity. That is selling a product. When you cut off electricity from those states, 4 or 5 states, you've cut off revenue for your country. Equitable partners. That is a given, right? We have things that are unique to us. You guys have things that are unique to you. That is a given. How do we make a deal that works for you, but also works for us and also helps shrink? It may not eliminate completely the trade deficit, but it could shrink it. Americans should be on board with any policy like this. How do we shrink it? Can we have more Canadian companies go to Michigan, go to Minnesota, set up shop in there, make some products, and employ Americans? These are the things that shrink. There's no much of a difference between salaries in America and Canada. It's really not it's not compared to like China or Vietnam or Mexico. This is Canada. You drive into Canada, you cannot tell the difference that you're still in the United States or you're in Canada. And Americans are picking a fight about protecting their own country, their sovereignty, their independence, their nation, and supporting another country that has its own fights to fight. Canadians have to decide what is in their best interest. Listen, it is trade, it is nothing personal. Canada can decide that I no longer want to do business with America. I would rather sell my products to another country without any trade tariffs. The country can just decide it's no longer in our best interest to service this market. Let us relocate and go service another market. Is somebody going to be mad as a Canada has taken pulled off their products off the shelves of America? No. That is totally in Canada's right. American government can say we no longer want this product. We want this product to meet certain conditions. And if you cannot meet those conditions, then you cannot sell your product in our markets. That is what the American government can do. And you will see recalls of Canadian products, recalls of Canadian beef, recalls of this, recalls of that, because America has changed its standard. Americans must first understand that their loyalty is with America and their fellow Americans. You cannot have divided loyalty. You cannot fight for everybody else in the world, but the people in your neighborhoods, the people in your communities. So I've always wondered, what does the label African American mean to Black Americans? Does that mean they have divided loyalty? And when they call themselves Africans, does that mean they have loyalty to Africa and loyalty to America? Is that what it means if you identify as African and American? Is your loyalty split down the middle? Why is this identifier needed so badly, but a protective status for you, indigenous Black people of America, is not as important. Why are they so particular about reminding you of where you came from, but they will not give you a protective status that says you are an indigenous people of America to ensure and enshrine and encode your loyalty to America. You cannot fight for reparations without first defining yourself as an indigenous people and why you need reparations. Who gets it? But you have aligned yourself with a party that has proven time and time that their loyalty is not with the American people. Their loyalty is not with America. Because every time I hear a Democrat talk, black, white, colored, whatever, I hear somebody who is fighting for somebody else who is not an American. You can fight for the less privileged. You can fight for those with misfortunes, fight for those coming into your countries, but that cannot be the bulk of your fight. When the rest of your citizens are still struggling to get by. Take the city of Chicago. The mayor of that city prioritized non Americans at the expense of Americans. Who voted for this mayor? Is this what your citizens want, that you should not prioritize their needs, their interests, their schools? I have a question for the black mayor of Chicago. The black kids in your city, do they have the best education money can buy? Do they have the best health care available to any child in America? Can these kids read at grade level? Have you solved the issue of crimes in the black communities in Chicago? Where do you find the time to prioritize the needs of people who are not the people who voted for you? This is why I say the Democrat Party is a party of foreigners. It's a party that does not protect or push the American agenda. Where is your loyalty? Is it with Canada? Is it with China? Is it with Russia? What does it matter if we're going to pay a short term price right now, but ensure that we have a fair trading deal with all of these countries? Whose interests are you advocating for? The employees of China, the workers in the Chinese factories, the workers in the Indian factories? Who are you loyal to? Are you fighting for the capitalists that want to take jobs away from Americans and go pay 80 cents on the dollar to make the products and come back and sell in America? Whose interests are you protecting? The Democrat Party needs to be able to tell me what they stand for, what they represent, who they are fighting for. And it must start and end with somebody who is an American and who can vote. Because if somebody cannot vote for you, they drop on the pecking order of things. I will read the American Creed. And what it says: I did not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. I seek opportunity to develop whatever talent God gave me, not security. I do not wish to be kept citizens, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I don't want the state to be my mother. I don't want the state to be my father. I want to develop my own talent and be my own man. I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fall and to succeed. I refuse to batter incentives for a dole. I prefer the challenges of life to the quarantine existence, the thrills of fulfillment to the state calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for benefits, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any earthly master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, and unafraid, to think and act myself, enjoy the benefits of my creation, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. All this is what it means to be an American. When you hear this, what do you exactly object to? When you listen to this, where does this fit in the Democrat agenda? The Democrat agenda is to make you dependent. The Democrat agenda is to ensure that the state takes care of you. The Democrat agenda is to make sure that you are so weak and it requires the government to fight on your behalf. Take some time and read the Americans' Creed and ask yourself, do I want this for myself or do I want to be a Democrat? A party whose loyalty is not with America. On that note, I will call today's episode a wrap. Thank you for continuously supporting this channel, liking, and subscribing to the channel. Without you, we won't be here. And we're here to ensure we keep providing you with the content that is going to push you to think for yourself, be for yourself, and stand for yourself. It's your host, the Village Town Crier, Shrez. Good day.